I know what the word meant in my generation. I know people died from that word. I know women that were beat from that word. That was not a pleasant word, but I want to tell you a story so we might be able to put this in context. This is how I explain it, because people would understand this, because we've been introduced to other histories, but not our own. There was a woman by the name of Helene Blavatsky. She was a Russian. And this is in the 1800s. And she was impacted by a black man, by the way. His name is Pascal Beverly. Pascal Randolph Beverly. You talk about Rosicrucian, he the one that brought Rosicrucian to the United States. And he was a lecturer on metaphysics. Check this brother out. He impacted Helene Blavatsky. And she began to get into metaphysics, and she traveled the world, and she ended up in Tibet. And she came back to Europe and came back to Asia, and she brought back what she had found. And she brought back many symbols of Buddhism. And there was a military person in Germany that was impacted by this legacy of what she brought back as it related to Buddhism. And long story short, he overturned the government and he emblazoned his flags, his clothing, everything about him. He was so impacted by this metaphysics and by this concept that he called himself the Führer, which is the German word for Pharaoh. He was impacted by the African world and what they offered, from the Buddhism of the Kushites that went into India to Kemet or Egypt. And he developed a political party, took over the country, emblazoned it, and he started going after African people. The first people, of course I'm talking about Adolf Hitler. Horrible, evil man. What's not said about Europe is the first people murdered by the Third Reich, by Hitler, were the African and African Americans that remained in Germany after World War I. This is something that's not discussed. Tagged was because of their relationship to the melanated world. Because remember, Adolf Hitler was not creating a new religion. He was creating a new race. He called it the supreme race. He called it the Aryan race. He would have had a heart attack if he had known that Arius was a black bishop during the time of Constantinople. He would have a heart attack if he knew Arius was a black bishop that escaped into the mountains of Europe and brought his followers with him. They were called Aryans. Many of them African, some of them of other cultures, European also, that followed his religious interpretations of Christianity. Okay. He emblazoned this symbol that came from, originally from Kush, but it's all around the world. If you round it out, it's in Asia, it's called yin yang. But we call it the swastika, the black sign, Schwarze. He did horrible things to people. Horrible things to people. Brought great pain. And everywhere those people saw that pain, felt that pain, experienced the horrific, inhumane treatment that they received, that symbol was emblazoned in their minds. Every time they saw somebody murdered, that symbol was emblazoned in their minds. An evil, dirty man took a beautiful symbol and dirtied it. So no matter how sacred the Gramadan, the yin-yang, the law of opposites, the elliptical galaxy, and all the other things that black sign represented, that swastika represented, if you were to go into a room of people who practiced the Jewish faith and drew that on the board, you would immediately have a reaction, because epigenetically, they still associate that symbol with that pain. Well, that's the same thing with the N-word. We can't even say it the way we should. But to understand the N word and its origins, you'd have to understand language, the development of language, etymology, and phonons and sounds. Inger, Inga. You have countries in Africa, Nigeria, Niger. You can go down south, Angola. You have Mandingo. Nga is a sacred sound. It follows the letter M. The letter M is a sacred sound. The letter N and G guide your mouth through a certain process of sounds that bring forward vibrations within the body. We're going to get deep here, family, because we're living a very shallow world. And we don't understand the power of the word. It's not just the word, it's the sound that is emitted and the sound that you have to create within your spiritual being in order to bring that word forward and what it was meant to be. And there are words that bring grace and power and good feelings. Ngr is one of those sounds. And so our ancestors had names in northern Africa. Ng, Negus, Neter. All of these words, sounds. Negus, Negusti, King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Nter. Ngr means the spirit or the God. The energy, the vibration. That is what the N word means. Can you believe that? But dirty people took a beautiful sound, took a beautiful word, and they dirtied it. So every time we hear that word, no matter the beauty of the word and its origins and meanings, it still brings forward that pain of being enslaved, of being treated inhumanely. Hotep ends. If you looked at it the way I just told you, if you understood the beauty of the word Hotep, and if you understood the beauty of the N word, the original meaning of the word. Now, family, I'm going to say this again because I got to say this a lot. I'm not saying to say the word. What I'm saying is know the history. I'm an educator. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not here for you to believe me. I'm just asking you to think. Just think. I've demonstrated the words in Africa, Angola, Mandingo, Nigeria, Niger, all around the world. You can go to India, Naga. It's a sacred word. Negus, sacred word. Hotep is a beautiful word. Not only because it means peace, but because of what it did for my generation. Coming up in a world of liars and cheaters and thieves. And we found people with like minds that had studied our history and our culture to take it to the next level. And to do that, we greeted each other by saying, Hotep. Hotep. It was a good word. The N word. It's a good word. But it's been dirtied. And it brings a lot of pain to people. But I think this generation is different. You're using the word now like it was originally meant to be used. But the context in which it's being used still brings pain to all of those people who experienced that word coming from Negus, Ngr. The Romans came in, adapted the word, created Negro. It then dispersed amongst the so-called Romance languages. It's not romance like it's romance like love. It's Romance, R-O-M-A-N apostrophe S, the Romans language. It comes through Spain. It finds itself in America, is anglicized from negro to the word we use today, which we call the N-word. That's the history. So as I close this part out, fam, education is the key. That's my lane. I'm real comfortable. Just like there are folk get on the basketball court, say, I got game. Well, when I get in the classroom, I got game. That's the one area And I know that our emancipation and liberation, as they said in First World Alliance, that they used to give those conferences, the title atop all of the different papers that they may give you, the list of different presenters during the month, it said, free your African mind. Free your African mind. And stop interpreting the world through someone's eyes that not only don't know who you are, they don't know who they are. So how you gonna tell me about me when you don't even know who you are?